single dad offered shelter to an 8-year-old girl. What happened next? Drain hammered against the windshield as Daniel drove home from his late-night shift. The roads were empty, except for the small figure he almost missed, a girl huddled on the side of the road, soaked to the bone. He slowed down, rolled down the window, and asked, "Are you okay?" The girl looked up, her eyes red and swollen. I don't have anywhere to go." Daniel's heart clenched. She couldn't have been more than 18. Against his better judgment, he unlocked the passenger door. "Get in. You'll catch pneumonia out there." She hesitated, then climbed in, shivering. "Thank you, I'm Mia." Daniel nodded. "I'm Daniel, and that's my son, Ethan." He pointed to the back seat, where his sleepy 6-year-old stirred. Back at their modest home, Daniel handed her a towel and a spare hoodie. Over tea, she finally spoke. "My stepdad kicked me out. Said I was old enough to take care of myself." Something in Daniel shifted. He knew what it was like to be left behind. His wife had walked out years ago, leaving him to raise Ethan alone. That night, he made up the couch for her. "You can stay here until you figure things out," he said softly. Days turned into weeks. Mia helped around the house, cooked dinner, and made Ethan laugh like no one else could. Slowly, Daniel noticed something. She wasn't just a guest. She was becoming family. One evening, as they sat eating together, Ethan looked at Mia and said, "Are you gonna stay forever?" Mia's eyes welled up. "If you'll have me." Daniel smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. Offering her shelter had been an act of kindness. What he didn't know was that it would heal more than just her, would fill the empty space in all of their hearts. The storm that night was merciless. Wind howled like a wounded animal, and rain poured in sheets so thick Daniel could barely see the road. He was exhausted from a double shift at the factory, just wanting to get home to his little boy, Ethan, and collapse. Then his headlights caught movement, a small figure trudging along the shoulder of the road. Drenched and shivering, Daniel slowed and pulled over. "Hey," he called over the rain. The girl flinched, clutching her bag like a shield. Her face was pale, lips trembling. She couldn't have been more than 18. "You okay?" Daniel asked. She hesitated, then shook her head. I don't have anywhere to go." For a moment, Daniel fought with himself. Picking up a stranger was risky. But then Ethan's voice came from the back seat, soft and sleepy. "Daddy, who's that?" Daniel looked back at his son's wide, curious eyes and felt his decision settle in his chest. He unlocked the passenger door. "Get in. You'll catch your death out here." The girl climbed in, soaked and shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Mia." Back at Daniel's modest house, the warmth made Mia break. She stood in the doorway, tears streaming silently as he handed her a towel and a hoodie. Over tea at the kitchen table, her story spilled out in broken pieces. "My stepdad kicked me out, said I'm 18, not his problem anymore. My mom, she didn't even fight for me." Daniel's heart ached. He knew abandonment. His wife had walked out when Ethan was a baby, leaving him to raise his son alone. "You can stay here tonight," he said gently. "We'll figure things out tomorrow." One night turned into two. Two turned into a week. Mia was quiet, polite, always trying not to take up space. But Daniel noticed how Ethan lit up around her. She played board games with him, read bedtime stories, and laughed in a way Daniel hadn't heard in years. One evening, as they all ate spaghetti at the little kitchen table, Ethan looked up with sauce on his chin and asked, "Mia, are you gonna stay forever?" Her fork froze midair, eyes wide and wet. "If you'll have me," she whispered. Daniel's chest tightened. Offering her shelter had been a simple act of kindness. What he didn't expect was how she was mending the cracks in their little family. Weeks later, Daniel got a knock on his door. A man stood there, tall, hard-eyed. "I'm Mia's stepdad," he growled. "She's coming with me." Daniel stepped into the doorway, voice calm but firm. "No, you threw her away. She has a home now." Mia appeared behind him, trembling. Daniel turned to her. You decide. Do you want to go? For the first time her voice was steady. No, I'm staying. The man's face twisted, but Daniel didn't move. After a tense moment, the stepdad turned and stormed off. Mia broke down, and Daniel wrapped his arms around her, like a father would. You're safe. You hear me. You're not alone anymore. That night, as Ethan snored softly in the next room, and Mia finally slept without fear, Daniel realized something. Offering her shelter hadn't just saved her. It had saved him and his son too. The rain was relentless that night, pounding the roof of Daniel's old truck like 1,000 tiny hammers. His hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as the wiper struggled to keep the windshield clear. Ethan, his 6-year-old, was fast asleep in the back seat, his little head leaning against the window. Daniel sighed, thinking about the long shift he'd just pulled. Life as a single dad was a constant balancing act. That's when he saw her, a small figure walking along the side of the deserted road, soaked through, carrying a worn-out backpack. She couldn't have been more than a teenager. Daniel slowed down, heart pounding. He rolled the window down a crack. Hey, you okay? The girl turned, startled. Her face was pale, mascara streaked by rain. She hugged her bag to her chest. I don't have anywhere to go. Something in her voice hit him like a punch to the gut. Before he could think too hard about it, he unlocked the door. Get in before you freeze to death. She hesitated for a second, then climbed in, dripping water on the old seat. I'm Daniel, he said, glancing at her. That's my son, Ethan. The girl gave a small nod. Mia, her voice cracked. Thank you. By the time they reached Daniel's modest house, the storm had grown worse. Inside, he handed Mia a towel and one of his old hoodies. She looked so small, wrapped in it. Over a mug of tea, she finally spoke. My stepdad told me to leave, said I'm 18 now. Mom. She didn't say anything. Her voice broke on the last word. Daniel's stomach tightened. He knew that kind of abandonment all too well. His wife had walked out when Ethan was a baby, leaving him to figure out fatherhood alone. You can stay here tonight, he said softly. We'll figure out the rest later. Mia stared at him, like she didn't quite believe what she'd heard. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Daniel looked at her, then at his sleeping son in the next room. Because everyone deserves a safe place, especially when the world turns its back. That night, as she curled up on the couch under a warm blanket, Mia cried quietly, not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. What was supposed to be one night turned into several. Mia tried to stay out of the way, but she started helping around the house, washing dishes, folding laundry. Ethan adored her instantly. One morning, as Daniel came into the kitchen, he saw Mia helping Ethan tie his shoes for school. They were both laughing. The sight stopped him cold. It had been years since this house had sounded like that. That evening, over spaghetti, Ethan looked at her with wide eyes. Mia, are you gonna stay forever? Mia froze, tears welling up. If you want me to. Daniel's heart clenched. He saw it then, not just a guest, but someone who belonged. 2 weeks later, a loud knock rattled the front door. Daniel opened it to find a man tall, broad, with a scowl carved into his face. I'm Mia's stepdad, the man barked. She's coming with me. Daniel stood his ground. No, you kicked her out. She's safe here. Mia appeared behind him, trembling. Daniel turned to her. It's your choice. Do you want to go? Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. No, I'm staying. The man's eyes burned with anger, but Daniel didn't move an inch. After a tense moment, the man stormed off, cursing under his breath. Mia collapsed against Daniel, sobbing. He doesn't want me. He never did. Daniel hugged her, voice steady. He doesn't get to decide your worth. You're family now. Weeks turned into months. Mia finished school with Daniel, cheering louder than anyone at her graduation. She got a job at the local cafe and came home every night to Ethan waiting at the window. One evening, she handed Daniel a small piece of paper. His hands shook as he read it. Petition for guardianship. Daniel Hayes requesting custody of Mia Carter. He looked up, eyes wide. Mia, are you sure? She smiled through tears. You didn't just give me a place to stay, Daniel. You gave me a family. I want to make it official. Daniel pulled her into a hug, his own tears falling freely. That night, as they sat together, Daniel, Mia, and Ethan, it was clear. Offering shelter had changed all of their lives forever.